Hi, and welcome to RCKicks. On today's show, we're back working on the PR Racing PRSB401 Type R. Now, I've done quite a few videos on this one. We basically did an unboxing video, then we did a full detailed chassis build. So if you would like to see that, I'll put a link up here. Go check that out and then come back to this one, as the chassis build detail was amazing and the actual chassis itself, mwah, stunning. Right, so in this episode, the plan is we've got to fit all the electronics, we've got to configure them all, we've got to paint up the body, I've got to order a few things like some tires, some rims. Also, I need to order some oils for the diff and the front shocks, as they are way too soft going by what was in the kit manual. So I'm going to pick those up, as well as what else are we going to do? Oh yeah, we're taking it racing. So if that interests you, stay tuned. It's going to be a good one. Right, we kick off from where we left off before. So I'd fitted the motor and the pinion as well as the servo. The servo is all trued up. I've now cut out the body off camera. It's a lightweight body, but because it's so straight, it's very easy to cut out, no real challenge. Also, the rear wing is not that difficult. Once you cut it out, you gotta clean it to get rid of all that fixing agent. Bit of washing up liquid and then towel dry. Make sure you get all the moisture out of it before you start painting it. This kit came with window masks, so I fitted them, and I'm going to be brave and try some stencils. Now, I'm not sure how this is going to go, but hey, we'll give it our best shot. Now, I wanted to do something that was going to be very vibrant, so I went with my favourite metallic blue from Tamiya, but I wanted to use something that's going to really make that blue pop, so I decided to go with the yellow. Now, while the paint is drying, I managed to pick up some new tyres, so I'm going to go with some Cactus Fusion 2s and some softer inserts. Now, I didn't have much luck with these with the Super Dogfighter, but this is what the pro drivers are using, so I'll give it my best shot. Now, gluing up your tyres can be a bit of a nightmare, but I found that if you do it this way, it's really easy. You just put on a small amount. I'm barely squeezing the actual container and just let the fluid drop out. You only need a tiny amount. If you leave it, it will set, and that is good enough. Right, while the tyres are drying, let's get back on the painting. So I wanted to do a transition colour from the yellow to red just to make it even more vibrant, but I went a little bit too far because I wanted to do a transition from red orange into white. So I cut it back with some polycarbonate cleaner to make it look torn, and then I'll paint it white. Also, the wing I wanted to tie into the front of the car, so I did it the metallic blue as well and put the drips in. So while that was all drying, I turned my attentions back to the ESC. Now, this was brand new and lent to me, so I needed to fit the battery connectors as well as solder up the ESC to the motor. Now, I love these battery connectors, but they can be a bit of a pain to solder, as they need to be soldered really flat, as there's no real room when you go to slide the cover over. Now, the first one went perfect, but the second one, when I soldered it up, I got a little bit of excess that was going to stop the cover from going over. But instead of resoldering it all over again, I just took a little file and filed down those high spots, and that would clear it so that the actual cap would go over. After that, you just put the little tiny Allen grub screw in, and that bolts it all down. Now, it goes without saying, when you're soldering or filing anything, don't just rely on safety squints, use a mask and eye protection. A massive thank you to Model Tune for sponsoring this content. Now, if you're interested in any of your own PR racing good stuff, or this lovely Corsatec electronics and pretty much anything else you want, I've got a coupon code that you can use that will save you 5%. At checkout, just use RCKicks and you could save yourself a few pennies. Anyway, I think that pretty much covers it, so let's get back to this build. Right, now the tricky bit's out the way, we can actually attach the ESC into the chassis. Some good double-sided tape is all you need. Now, if this was my motor in ESC, I would cut down all the cables to be exactly what's required in this chassis. But as this is a loaner, I'm not going to be hacking up this expensive ESC cabling. So I tried to reroute it as best I could using the original lengths, so that when I take it out to return it, it doesn't look too butchered. Also, off camera, I found a way to actually fit low center of gravity batteries. You just cut the actual standoffs down to the correct height and then screw it in just like it was originally. I think I've soldered it up the best way I can while keeping the original lengths. Next we need to turn our attentions to calibrating the ESC, and this is super easy. You just download the app and then you connect it with the inbuilt Bluetooth. It's really that simple. Also, I found that you can make setting changes on the ESC while the car is live. This is really handy when you want to set up a car, as you don't have to keep taking it on and off the track to change the settings. Right, that's all the electronics done. Now we can make the changes. I've managed to get hold of the 650 weight oil that I wanted to put in the front that matched the Pro setup. That's going to make the front shocks a lot stiffer, as they were way too soft, and if I was to drive it like that on the track, it would be nosediving all over the place. So I quickly removed them, swapped out the oil, and next we can move on to the diff. Now the Pro setup for the diff was 10k in the rear and 15 in the front, and I put 10k in both. So I whipped out the front diff, dismantled it, and then we swapped out the 10k and replaced it with 15. When I built the kit, I thought the diffs were going to be a challenge to remove, but it's only a few screws and then you pull off the diff housing from the front. I actually removed a few too many parts, thinking that I needed to remove them to get the diff out, and it turns out I didn't. So you can actually change the oil in the diff probably within about 10 minutes. Now, one thing I might do in the future that has been mentioned to me is to remove 2 of the planetary gears and just run 2 in the front and 2 in the rear. This should give me better rotation, but let's see how it is stock first, and then I'll come back and I'll change these later on if I'm struggling to get the car around tight corners. Now 1500 CST is quite stiff, so to get it out of the bottle you've really got to squeeze. Now after that physical workout, I've turned my attentions to putting some green slime around the diff, as I don't want it to leak. Now I have been told that this diff doesn't leak, but I'm not going to risk it. I'm going to add some of this green slime around the actual housing as well as around the gasket, and that hopefully should keep all the oil where it's supposed to be. Right, now it's all done, we can backtrack, just replacing all the bolts back in and getting it back in the chassis, and that's another thing we can tick off. Now I'm just going to clean down the gears to make sure I get any green slime that's managed to get into the actual gears itself. Then I just got to put the shims and the bearings back on and we can drop it back in the car. Now we just got to update the 10 to 15k so that if I forget when I open it up, I'll know what oil's in it. Now we can just put it back into the car. As you can see, it's really easy. You don't have to take the tower out of the way or anything. If I could just ask you to take 2 seconds, if you've watched the videos and you've watched a few and you enjoy it, to hit that subscribe button. 58.6% of you that watch the channel aren't even subscribed. It costs you absolutely nothing. And being that we're such a small RC channel, every new subscriber really helps the algorithm find our content and push it out to more RC fans like you. So we're finally getting there. We've just got to fit the updated front shocks back on, and then we've got to turn our attentions to finishing the body off. Not far to go now, and then we can call it done. And then the good stuff happens. Yeah, we're going racing. Right, now we've finished making those changes. Next we can turn our attentions back to the body. Off camera I did all the camber and set up all the actual geometry. So that should make a good base to start with. Right, I now blew in the white and we're pretty much there, and I'm reasonably happy with it. Also I did the neon green on the hexagonal parts. Now the proof is in the pudding, so we have to remove that protective film. Now I did make a few mistakes in this body that I'm going to hide with decals, but I did actually learn quite a lot from this body, and I was pretty happy with the stencils that I used. But you do have to be careful that you don't get any bleed through, so I can highly recommend using some flat clear on the inside just to seal up those gaps, as I did make a few mistakes and there is a few little parts that are not the best. Now being a race buggy, it doesn't really come with loads of decals, but you get a few, so I kind of mixed in a few of my own with some of the ones that came in the kit. But overall I'm really happy with it, as I wanted it to be very loud and bright for when I'm driving it around a track. Now, after a good few days work, I've got a fully dialed in, well, a base level dial anyway. We'll just have to see how it goes, and then I'll make adjustments as I kind of get used to it. I'm a bit worried that the front is going to be too aggressive and the back is going to break loose, and then we'll have to work with it. But we'll just play it by ear and see how we get on. Right, I think there's only one thing left to do, and that is take it racing. Okay, so I've done a few shakedowns on the car so far, and it's actually looking really good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the final. Now, I messed around with tyres and I borrowed some tyres from other people. So on the rear I've got some probably half-worn Cactus yellows, and on the front I'm now running brand new Fusion 2s from Schumacher. Now, they're very aggressive tyres, and I was a bit worried that they were going to be too much bite, but it turns out actually it loved it. I just need to put new Cactus yellows on the back and it would help balance out the car. Now, on first away I do struggle with that jump right at the end. I'm too fast or too slow over it. Then I struggle with these 3 jumps here. That unsettles the car a little bit, so I have to be patient. The rest of the track, especially down the straight, bonkers fast. The motor in this is unbelievable. And also I've got the brake turned up really high, and I like that. It slams on its brakes at the end, but it doesn't get twitchy. Now, the 2 cars to watch is me now and the purple with the yellow wheel car right behind, which I think is Charlie. Throughout the whole final, we're basically on each other, then we fall away, and then we're right on it in the last 2 or 3 laps. So it's real close racing. Now, he's pushing me on really fast, and I'm feeling the pressure. But you can see down the straights, I've just got loads of power. Really happy with it, considering I've only taken it out today. I haven't even run it in the street. It's closer than I thought it was going to be. I thought it might be a bit of a basket case right from the off, and then you'd have to start dialing it in. But no, I did start to feel confident with the car, even though I haven't had any time on it at all. So now I'm back on Charlie, even though I made a mistake earlier on and kind of gifted it to him. Now, it is a bit unfair down the straights. I can absolutely blast it. But I'm trying to stay with him. That jump is nice and easy. The turn-in is lovely. I like a sharp nose. Right, I'm on him. Let's see if I can get past him. Right up against him then, so I can really lean on him down the straight, and then I get through. But it's close. Now, a few changes I'm going to do in the future. I'm going to obviously replace the rear tyres with new ones, and I'm hoping that's going to settle the balance out from the front to the back. Also, I'm going to up the diffo in the rear a little bit as well, and probably put some slightly stronger springs on the front. Also, I'm toying with the idea to get some titanium screws as well to try and get some lightness in it. Driving a four-wheel drive is very different to a front-wheel drive. Yeah, didn't you just love that? That was a brilliant mistake. That was about half a lap up, and now he's catching me up. Then I make another stupid little mistake, and he makes a little mistake, gives me a bit of breathing room. But it's only 2 corners behind me, and this is where it starts to get interesting, as I just keep making mistake after mistake. But in my defense, I'm just learning the car and getting used to what it's doing. So he's about 2 or 3 corners behind. He makes a little bit of a mistake and gives me a bit of breathing room. Really happy with the power. Yeah, nice little mistake there. How I did that, I have no idea. That ramp is huge, but there we go. So he's clawed back. He's now only 2 corners behind me. And then, it gets worse. Yeah. But down the straight, mighty. Really happy with that. See, on that jump, I'm all too slow or overcooking it and going too fast and wasting too much time in the air. That triple, again, I do struggle with that as it unsettles the car. The rest of the track, I'm actually really happy with it. And then the wheels start to come off my wagon. But it's really nice to have a car that's close. Yeah, I made a little mistake there. That's not too bad. And then I do this. Yeah, I absolutely hit a nut. Can't believe I did that. So that's one crash straight into another one, burning up loads of time. And look who just nips through. He almost tipped over his car. Yep, Charlie is now out in front and I'm chasing him down. But with that extra power, I can claw it back quite easily. So he's now 1 corner ahead of me and the pressure's on. Now who's going to take it? We're getting closer to the end of the race. Can I hunt him down before the end? A little bit of a mistake for him, a little bit of a mistake by me, and then I'm back on him again. Last couple of turns. He's clean away. I'm trying to catch him, but I'm trying not to overcook it. But you can see, oh, that was so close. That could have cost me. Then I power up the inside. Yeah, sorry about that. That was horrific. I thought I might pass him just in time to nip round, but no, I just nailed him. So yeah, sorry about that. And then he was graciously enough to let me go, even though technically I should have let him go. But he's right on me, and we're fighting right to the end. And then he clips me. We're on the last little, then I go round the corner, then I crash, and then I go across the line. Yeah, really close and great fun. And being that it's the first time out with this, I'm really chuffed. Work to do, but I'm really liking this car. Oh yeah, my transponder stopped working.
I think so. I don't know why I ended up being last.
So there you go, that's the first outing of the PR Racing PRSB401 Type R. My first initial thoughts, well, I'm double thumbs up. Definitely happy with where the car is, considering how much time I've actually driven it. I was really worried I was just going to be a total handful. I've taken other cars before that I've never run, and they're just so far out of the way that to bring them back is going to take time and effort. And the first kind of day of running them is basically just triaging why it's a total basket case. So it's lovely to get something that's really turnkey. So with some basic setups, it was drivable and I could have fun with it. And I feel like when I walked away from it, it was very positive that I can start doing tweaks, small tweaks, just to start nudging the lap times up as I improve it. So yes, like I said just a little while ago, there is some things I'm going to do. Going to put some thicker diff oil in the rear. Obviously got to get the right tyres at the rear. That should help a lot. And then maybe some stiffer springs at the front. So we'll see how it goes. And then trying to lighten it. Big difference between four-wheel drive and two-wheel drive. The car does feel very heavy. They do because of the amount of extra stuff that's in them. So trying to lighten them up a little bit. And then we'll just have to see how it goes from there, and then look at maybe if there's any upgrade parts or some other tuning, and we'll just have to see. But really chuffed. Now, can I recommend this? Well, obviously the biggest challenge I think that PR Racing have, I can only talk about the UK, is the penetration into the group. Now, I did chat to quite a few people about this, and there is some real dominant manufacturers that are out there. So the biggest challenge I think they've got to overcome, and it's a bit of an unfair one, is that it's easier to go safe. It's easier to go with what other people have got. And also, you know, people's setups, if you've got the same as what everyone else at your club's got, then getting help to set it up is easier. So if you're the only person to have that type of car at your local track, you're kind of setting it up on your own, really. Whereas, like when I had my B6.4, for instance, it was very easy to just get advice from loads of people that are actually running the same car. So that aside, build quality, no hesitations. There is no, I don't know, I'm gonna say this, there's no difference between the quality of this and a big manufacturer. Honestly, the thing is gorgeous. So I'm really happy with that, and it looks premium. It's just down to that kind of going your own way kind of thing. I think that's a real challenge, and it's kind of unfair because you've got to start from somewhere, you know. And if you've got these big dominant manufacturers, then anybody new coming in is going to be really difficult, or anybody trying to break into a new market. But that's normal business and that's how it works. But I am loving it, really happy with it, and it will be back on the show again. I'm definitely going to be running this way more. I plan on using this four-wheel drive for the whole rest of the year, so you will see it again. Massive thanks to Model Tune for sponsoring this video, and also to Plague Bearings and PR Racing for making a lovely four-wheel drive buggy. So more to come. Thanks very much. Please like and subscribe. See you on the next one. Bye bye.